All right, welcome in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Getting you set for a big weekend of college football. Your feedback to the show, anything you want to discuss today. As we go MAXXX Ball Friday, we did have some football last night. We'll get to that. Stanford Steve with us at 7:30. Landon Tingwall going to join us at 9 o'clock this morning. First time that he'll join us. If you haven't seen him on social media and YouTube breaking down college football from a little bit of a different perspective, it's pretty cool what he's doing. And we will talk college football with him today. And then Gabe Eichert talks Oklahoma-Auburn, as that feels like it's starting to trend towards one of the bigger games of the weekend. Not that we didn't think it would, but obviously it's going to mean more to us because it's involved with Auburn. But more and more people kind of point to that one as what the ramifications are going to be for the team that wins at GMAC and for the team that goes down for the rest of the season.
Well, it's not that they can't be overcome. I mean, they can absolutely be overcome in a loss, but the winner is just in such great shape in the conference, with it being the conference opener and things like that. I just think it's so massive. And honestly, for Auburn with where they're at and with Oklahoma with where they're at from a coaching standpoint, this being such a huge year for Hugh Freeze and for Brent Venables, it's not a secret. Everybody knows that. But just an opportunity to start the season 4-0. Auburn going to Texas A&M next weekend. Oklahoma with Texas on the docket here in a couple weeks. Like, this is a big one because there's a bunch of tough games now here in the rest of the season.
When you look at these teams that we're going to discuss today, and let's just start in the SEC, what teams have let you down so far? We always talk about teams that exceeded expectations, teams we're excited about, teams that are looking great. But what teams are maybe under where you thought they were going to be this point through the season?
You know what's crazy is I think there's a lot more that have let me down than have lived up to the expectations that I had for them.
Well, it's kind of why I wanted to go there because, we talked about this middle of the pack coming in. We talked about teams that we felt like were going to be towards the top, and then there was a large group of teams that could make their way there, and now it feels like we're maybe going a little bit backwards from where we thought the season was going to be.
Well, let me go back and look up my preseason SEC tiers list, or my preseason. I'm going to have to go back. I believe it was July. Yes, SEC tiers, okay? So Texas I had at number 1. They've definitely disappointed me. Can't even begin to tell you how disappointing they've been, frankly. Bama I had at number 2. Definitely a little disappointing with week 1, for sure. I'm impressed with the bounce back, but week 1 is absolutely disappointing. Georgia I had number 3. Defensively, I didn't think they'd have such vulnerabilities opposite Dalen Everett. I didn't think they'd have as much of a problem rushing the passer. I didn't think the offensive line would struggle, so they've been disappointing, even though they're still undefeated, still 3-0. LSU I had at number 4. They are kind of who I thought they were. An elite team in the SEC that could absolutely make a run. Like, I thought there was a gap. Those were national championship contenders for me. Those 4 teams are kind of where I thought they were. 3 down, 1 about where I thought they were. So we could start there. But next up, I have Oklahoma at 5. I mean, they've been everything I thought they'd be. I think maybe and some. I don't know if you see it similarly.
Do you think LSU is an elite football team right now?
Yes. I do.
I'm not there on LSU just yet. I see maybe too many holes, too many issues, too many things that need to be cleaned up. Defensively, I'm there with you 100%. I think they are that group. I just think that there are some things offensively that don't say elite football team to me, that look concerning, and want to see if they can get past it, want to see if that's something that they're going to be able to overcome, because I do think that at some point in time you're going to find a team that's going to get a couple of touchdowns on the board, or you're going to be able to match that. Now, I do think that they have some receivers playing elite football, a quarterback that's made some elite throws. How would you explain the difference to people, Greg, of watching an offense that is in rhythm, that is in sync, that things are married up to, and watching an offense that feels like they're just calling plays? And maybe I'm off based on this. Maybe I'm out of line here. But when I watch LSU, that's a little bit of what I see. Not always, but a lot of the times it feels like we're just calling plays. Like, let's just run this. Let's throw the ball to this guy. Now, there are certain things that you see up the seams when a certain matchup or a certain coverage, and it's kind of like, man, that was a good decision. Like, bam, just get it out right there. There's a lot in the quick game that I feel like is left on the table, and pressure doesn't allow them to do things that could have easily just gotten the ball out and moved on. But that's, to me, one of the main issues that I see with LSU. And I think the problem with that is I can't take a statistic and just hand that to you and then everybody who follows college football say, oh, yeah, he's definitely right about that for sure. I see that. I think it's going to be an opinion and just one based on what you see. And when I watch LSU, that's a lot of what I see.
I think that's totally fair. I think it's hard to really have an identity when you want to be something that's not your strength. Does that make sense to me? Like, or to you, I mean? Like, I think they want to be a balanced outfit. That's not who they are. And I know that's probably a little bit frustrating for Brian Kelly, but I think you got to acknowledge that the running backs are just not, they're just not that. Like, they're not that guy that's a takeover of the game guy that warrants balance. I think the offensive line's okay. I wouldn't say they're great. I think they're fine. I think teams have won national championships with worse, by the way. Everyone's like, oh, you can't win a natty without an O-line. Well, I've seen ones that were pretty dang average win natties in the past. Now, it's rare, but it does happen. So I think your point is taken. I do think they miss Mason Taylor. I do think that Nussmeier has not played his best ball, but that's because he's been hurt pretty much all season. And I do think his best ball is probably in front of him.
And I think here, too, when I say this, it's not as much I think it's a problem, because I think what you just said kind of put this in my head as far as thoughts on it. There are teams who have been in this spot with LSU, and I'm trying to think of some of them. Like, I think probably 2013 Auburn was one of these teams. I think maybe the Derrick Henry year with Lane was one of these years where you want to be balanced, you want to do different things, but then you take ownership of what you actually are and just say, we're going to go with it. I mean, the way I understand it is, and I have had people on both sides of this say true, not true, and I understand. I'm not going to say the names because I understand why some of the names would say absolutely not, that didn't happen, and I know why some would say absolutely it did happen. But in 2010 at Auburn, my understanding was don't need to run the quarterback that much, don't need to make a living running quarterback that much, and then 2 or 3 games in, we better be running the quarterback moving forward or else. And it's taking ownership of this guy can take it. Not only that, even if he can't, this is our best chance to win games. We better start doing it. And maybe I need to see that with this LSU team of just let's take ownership of what we know we are, and then we'll figure it out from there instead of continuing to allow what we're not hamper the things that we know we can be good at because we're spending 20, 30% of our time trying to be something that's never really going to go.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's part of the problem is there's been a mandate here in the first month of the season because of and let's be real now. You're playing October, November, December, January. We are quite literally 4 months away from the national championship game to the day. 4 months. That's a long time between now and when this team could potentially be playing for a national championship. So you're going to change and evolve and have attrition and look different then than you are now. And I think Brian Kelly knows in his heart of hearts that they can be that team this year. Yes. They really can. They have that chance. And I think he knows that it's a long game. It really is. And they don't need to be perfect just yet. Let's try to be balanced. And when push comes to shove and we're in gotta-have-it mode, then boom. Take the lid off the offense. Let's just go back to throwing 45 times a game. And even if you need to be ball control throwing it 45 times a game, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think they're really trying to work it right now, even though they don't really care about style points. But the fans do, and I think that's why Brian Kelly's frustrated, because he's like, we're not even trying to be our best yet. We're just trying really hard to be better in an area that was a weakness a year ago. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So the one that I was trying to get to, well, let's run through the league real quick and just say, you know, based on how we're looking at it, based on where things are today, preseason expectation, up or down? All right.
Do you agree with the first 5 that I have for you? Like 3 down, 1 where we thought they were in LSU, and then Oklahoma's where we thought they were in the Sooners. Are you the same spot?
I don't remember the whole 5, but I agree on Oklahoma. We thought they were going to be towards the top of that middle tier. It still had to work. It was still a little risky, but had that opportunity. Ole Miss so far.
Ole Miss
just
is
ahead of where you thought, below where you thought.
About where I thought. I had them like number 11 in the league.
I'm gonna say a little ahead of where I thought because the defensive front is definitely better than I anticipated. Now and I think we said it a lot of times on this show. Who's gonna block? And that hasn't been great. So Georgia.
I have Georgia a little down from where I thought they were. But yeah, I mean it's still about right.
I'm gonna say about even. I didn't think they were going to be world beaters, but I thought they were going to be one of the better teams in the league, and I think they are that. I mean, I understand that we gained a lot with Tennessee in that game last week, and we still got to give them a lot of credit for winning that game on the road, and I'm going to do that. LSU, I'm going to say for me, still a little bit down from where I thought, and I didn't have them on tier 1 going into the year. Still just a little bit down. Defense itself up for sure, because a whole new secondary, you wondered, are they on the same page? They're going to be able to do different things. Yes. Vanderbilt for you.
Vanderbilt's about where I thought.
I'm going to say a little bit up. And I thought they were going to be a good football team, but still a little bit up from where I anticipated they would be. Auburn.
A little about the same. I had them at 6 in the preseason. So, yeah, about the same.
I'm going to say a little ahead of where I thought. Because we thought the Baylor game was dangerous, and they got the win. So
yeah, great win.
That puts you a little bit ahead of where we thought you were going to be. Now, there some things we would like to see cleaned up, of course, but I'm going to say a little bit ahead. Mississippi State, I think we would both agree ahead of where we thought they were going to be. Missouri, definitely. I'm not going to say ahead of where I thought because I would say Bo Perbula's ahead of where I thought and maybe some of the receivers, but I thought they were going to be a pretty good football team. So close to where I expected, maybe just a nod ahead of where I expected.
I had them at 10. So I think right now they're the 8th or 9th best team in the SEC according to the AP poll. So it's not – they're about where I expected. I don't know if we can draw any conclusions from them until we actually see them play a team with the pulse.
Yeah, I don't know if we can draw conclusions from the AP poll either based on the decision-making that's been vocalized.
Like where would you have them? Where would you have them right now if you were to rank them in the SEC? I'd probably have them 9th.
The teams that I would definitively have ahead of them right now would be Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma.
Yes.
And then literally throw them in a blender. I mean, I'll say Tennessee I would have ahead of Missouri right now.
Okay.
So that's 4,
LSU.
so that's 5th. Not definitively, no. No, let's think about that. Let's think about that matchup real quick. If that's how we're playing it out. I mean, stretch zone schemes designed to do what? Sort out all the stuff. And that's what LSU gives you, all the stuff. And I think they can get after you up front. I think they have a good group of blitzing linebackers. I think they have some edge pressure guys that can get to you. I think they could cause problems there. And I think they tackle well. So a lot of the quick stuff that LSU likes to live on through the passing game, I think Missouri would have a good chance of getting guys to the ground. I think that'd be a really close matchup, probably depending on where it's played. Once again, in the blender. So take Texas A&M. I'll put Alabama ahead of them. Take Texas A&M. Take Auburn. Take Ole Miss. Take South Carolina's down from where we thought. Florida's down from where we thought. Vanderbilt would be in that blender. Missouri's in that blender. Throw them all in, and it's like it's a grab bag. It's a raffle. Take whoever you want, and they're all pretty much the same right now to me. I don't look at any of those as being clearly better than the others. There are things I like better. There are things I like worse, or I think are worse. But I don't think any of those are leaps and bounds ahead of the others. I think they're all about the same in the middle of the pack still.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't know. The only teams that I think it's a lot easier to really tell you the teams I'm high on compared to the preseason. Tennessee is one for sure. Mississippi State is one for sure. And then everyone else is kind of either the same or slightly down. Like those two are exactly those two are much better than I anticipated. And the rest are, I feel like we kind of had a pretty good beat on them early on.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of where I'm at. But I don't know. Maybe I'm giving a little too much credit to my preseason list, but I'm also probably approaching everything with a slight grain of salt where we don't really know just yet because a lot of teams have yet to play anybody with a pulse. Missouri being one of those.
Yeah. All right, so when you look at kind of where we head this weekend, we'll take some of those teams that we feel great about. Would you say Texas the most disappointing team for you so far?
Yes, with their level of execution, because you see the personnel and you're like, golly, you know what I mean? Like you see the personnel, you're like, okay, I like I like that. Ooh, that's nice. Oh, okay. Oh man, that's a heck of a throw. Like you see flashes of it, but for whatever reason, and then if you're gonna combine all the plays together, like, ugh, you know what I mean? Like they don't make sense to me. Like they really don't make sense.
That's why when I've been asked about him, I said you can say what you want about Arch, and he's had his issues and he's had his problems,
Sure.
but you need to go dive in. I'm not talking to you specifically, but the people who are saying that you need to go dive into what everybody's doing around him. Because I got tackles getting beat. I got free runners at the quarterback. I got balls being dropped. I got tight ends not helping much at the line of scrimmage. I've got backs and running backs in the open field, one-on-one against defenders that are being taken to the ground. That was not happening last year. They weren't getting tackled on slants for 4-yard gains. They weren't having throws out in the flat and being tackled for a 1-yard gain. They weren't having outside zone one-on-one with a corner or a safety and being tackled for no gain. Those things weren't happening last year. They just weren't. I mean, go put last year on and this year on. It looks different from that perspective. It's like you're saying, all the individual opportunities that they've had are not being met across the board. I mean, I think DJ Campbell has been their best player on offense probably so far this year. I mean, if you're just talking about living up to expectations. So Arch has not been awesome. I'm not going to sit there and deny it and try to say, give you excuses as to why he's been good. But you got to look at what everybody else is doing because it's not close to what it was a season ago. I mean, it just – and until that starts happening, I don't really think – even if he does start to play better, it's not going to make that much difference.
Well, I'll be honest with you. Like, DeAndre Moore's been disappointing. Ryan Wingo's been disappointing. I think the tight end's been good, 88.
He's been good catching the ball. But they got a lot more from that position at the line of scrimmage last year.
I don't disagree. Like, I just think in general – the thing that concerns me from a Texas standpoint is they're looking a lot like the Texas teams that were notoriously, quote, soft. You know what I mean?
I told you the other day in a text message what they're starting to look like to me, and that's a scary place to live.
Yeah, I get it. I just don't see the killer on offense. And I do think Arch has a lot to do with the catch and run stuff and not breaking tackles.
That's fair.
He's not getting it out on time. Like, if he gets it out a little quicker, if he puts it in a place where it's right on the face mask and let these guys catch and run with it, like, that all can be rectified with him elevating his play a little bit. But is Parker Livingston the guy that you want to be your number one receiver? I'm not being disrespectful. Like, I don't think that guy's anywhere near, like, as good as
Texas
some of the guys that they've had the last few years. Like, golly, they've had some dudes now, and he's just not what they've had. So that's also a little bit of a concern. I do like some of the things I've seen defensively, but the edge rushers are good. I don't feel like they've been as havoc-wrecking as I was anticipating. I feel like the corners have been okay. Like, Gilbo's been fine. You know what I mean? So I think we'll see. I think there's a lot to clean up. And like we said, it's early.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so we get your thoughts. 800-239-9569 if you want to get in. Text in 205-834-9450. Max Ball, what games do you want us to hit today? What games do you have questions about today? Let us know there, and we can get to that. We can discuss it, talk about it, and get through it over the course of the show today. Stanford Steve coming up here in a few minutes. But first, I'll tell you about Train. It's that season when you might be running the AC during the day, but the heat at night. Not in my house. Wife's still keeping that AC cranking at night. The stress on your home comfort system is why you need a Train. They've been named America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years. So you can count on the reliability of a Train to keep your home and family comfortable for years to come. Find out more at Train.com. More MAXXX Ball Friday next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Football last night. Dolphins go down to the Bills 21-31. Bills now 3-0. Dolphins 0-3, by the way. It was Bills now 3-0. Dolphins 0-3, by the way. It was not a comfortable performance for Miami last night, and you begin to wonder now, all right, where does this thing head? Being 0-3. Not a lot of people saw this one coming. Not a lot of people looked at this team. Now, I think from the Buffalo perspective, yeah, Josh Allen, 22 of 28, 213 yards, 3 touchdowns. There were some opportunities for Miami, a couple of drops hurt in this game. But Dolphins on the struggle bus. College football last night. Rice takes out Charlotte. They're 3-1, by the way. That offense, tough to handle, tough to manage. It's a tricky offense. 28-17. Charlotte goes to 1-3. Tuskegee goes down last night as well. They're now 2-2 on the season. So we move into games that are going to be coming up this weekend. Talking SEC teams that maybe have exceeded expectations, fell behind expectations. Tonight on ESPN at 6:30, you're going to get a 1-2 Tulsa team taking on a 1-1 Oklahoma State team. Speaking of disappointments, Craig, Oklahoma State, man, I just don't understand how it could have fallen this far this fast. But when you watch them from a personnel perspective, it doesn't feel like it's close to where it's been the last couple of years. And
Oklahoma State?
Correct.
They are awful.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they were playing in the Big 12 title game 2 years ago with a Doak Walker Award winner. Think about that. That's what you got to remember.
Just don't understand how it's gotten to where it is. And I would say a dangerous game for them tonight against Tulsa. 6:30 on ESPN, 7 p.m. on Fox tonight. You get 2-1 Iowa against 3-0 Rutgers. So Rutgers may be a little surprise team here for a lot of folks, huh?
I think you're going to watch Rutgers. You'll be like, hang on a second. This quarterback's pretty sporty. You're going to like him. His name's Ethan Kaliakmanis. He's been starting for a while now. He's been there either 2, maybe 3 years. Like, he throws it really nice. Like, he's got a nice ball. Last year, they were a bit of a ground and pound off play action outfit. But I buzzed a little Kaliakmanis because some of the numbers are pretty alarming. Like, you would not think that he's the real deal. I think Iowa, by the way, has a lot of challenges. The Mark Gronowski kid, their quarterback, has been a good runner, but man, he looks uncomfortable in the passing game. Like, if you want to feel better about your quarterback's comfort level, like, watch Iowa. Like, it can get worse because it's not. He just looks uncomfortable. But as a runner, he's excellent. So the Kaliakmanis kid, though, I'm telling you, he's legit. I think he's probably a pro. He might be an NFL guy. We'll see. But he's having a heck of a year, and I look forward to seeing him tonight as the competition for Rutgers finally picks up.
Kaliakmanis, one of 3 FBS players this season with at least 800 passing yards on 70% and 0 interceptions. Dylan Raiola, the other. Ty Simpson, the other. Just saying. Just throwing that out there as where Ty Simpson is this year compared to some other quarterbacks. Rutgers has started 3-0 each of the last 5 seasons, but obviously not all of those have gone the direction that they wanted to throughout the rest of the year. Gronowski that you mentioned, GMAC, 1 rushing score in 6 straight games. Now, he's got over 10,600 yards passing in his career, but this year hasn't been super clean. Here's maybe the coolest part of this game tonight. You laid out a couple of reasons that Rutgers has a good opportunity to get this game, being at home on a Friday night also being one. Rutgers has never defeated Iowa in the history of their programs. This would be the first win for Rutgers football against Iowa in the history of the program. 4-0 all time, Iowa is against Rutgers. So, and by the way, Rutgers has never scored more than 10 points against Iowa. So this will be a cool one to watch tonight. Like you said, quarterback that not a lot of people know about at Rutgers. Iowa's new quarterback trying to find his way, and maybe the first ever win in school history for Rutgers against Iowa. It would be pretty sweet if they could find a way to pull that off.
I would definitely take Rutgers tonight. I look, I don't know what kind of home field it's going to be. I'm not going to try to sit there and tell you, oh, do it because of the home field. I can't tell you that. I do think Rutgers is probably a bowl team. I think their quarterback is a guy that they can kind of ride. I think he's that good. So I kind of look forward to watching that one tonight because Iowa is kind of my favorite sleeper in the Big Ten every year. Rutgers could be that team this year where you just ride them from a value standpoint and cash checks from that point forward.
Oh, okay. So you're on the Rutgers side tonight.
Like you hinted that. Are you leaning Tulsa?
Yeah. After what I've seen from Oklahoma State, I am. Yes. I was shocked when I put Oklahoma State on. Just how it looked, what it was. This is just a dangerous one. And the Baylor Hayes kid for Tulsa can make some plays. I think you got a little bit of that going for you at quarterback. So, but Oak State minus 10.5, I'm absolutely on Tulsa. If you want to throw it that way. Maybe we ask Stanford Steve about that one on the other side. First, tell our listeners about Bromberg's.
Well, Bromberg's has been open for nearly 200 years, and they continue to elevate the experience for you and your loved ones. You go in, you buy some incredible jewelry, but right now they're actually going to buy jewelry from you, which is a great, great thing. Go to brombergs.com. You can kind of learn more about some of the special events they have coming up. If you have some unworn jewelry, something valuable that you're not using, go to Bromberg's annual jewelry buying event for 2 days only. It's on October 7th and 8th, I believe, at the Summit. You can sell diamonds, jewelry, watches, even silver flatware for immediate payment, or you get 120% off your offer in Bromberg store credit. With nearly 190 years of trusted expertise, Bromberg's makes the process easy, transparent, and secure. Don't wait. Appointments fill up fast. Call Bromberg's today at the Summit.
All right, when we come back, Stanford Steve, we'll get his thoughts on tonight's games and some other lines this weekend when we come back right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. JocksFM.com. App is in your app store, iPhone, Android. You can download that for free. Always watch us live on YouTube. And don't forget to tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jock skill and listen that way.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year, the national champion of GMC dealers. You can go and check them out in Coleman, I-65, exit 310, Highway 31. Just drive right up the road and you'll see all the deals they have on the lot, like a GMC Sierra 1500 SLT 4x4 loaded with the X31 off-road package, $53,335. That's what you'll pay. At other places, you're paying $67,000. So you are getting it for $14,000 off the sticker price. Deals like that keep people coming back. It's why Bill Smith Buick has been named the GMC Dealer of the Year 8 times in their running. They've also won it 5 years in a row, so they have a dynasty right up there in Coleman, and you can be a part of it as well. You also have the Used Car Supercenter where they can get you where you need to go regardless of what time it is. So it's amazing. Go take a short drive to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. You can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
All right, Greg, let's go to Stan for Steve. Brought to us each and every week by our friends at Atlas Senior Living.
Yep, Atlas Senior Living does a great job. Tell you about it more here in just a little bit. You also have the Atlas Pick'em contest. Atlas, A-T-L-A-S, seniorliving.com. Go on the football banner. You can enter the Pick'em contest for a $150 Amazon gift card. I'll tell you more in just a moment. Steve, what's going on, my friend?
Nothing much, boys. Really excited for this weekend. I think we love, obviously, the ball and seeing great games, and I think we have a bunch of them this week. But, like, as I'm thinking about it, we finally see a bunch of teams get tested for the first time. So, but it's going to be hard to not to overreact. You know, we're going to see some teams that face adversity for the first time, and what do they look like, and can they get better moving forward? That's the beauty of the sport, and there's plenty of teams that are in those situations.
All right, you're in Norman, correct?
No, I'm in Miami.
Same thing. Not much difference there. Climate right on par with one another.
Scenery, for sure.
I know Greg is in Norman. I thought you both were heading there this weekend. Florida, Miami will be fun to discuss in just a moment. I want to get your thoughts on Oklahoma and Auburn. Oklahoma now a 7.5-point favorite in this game. We know what John Mateer has been, but there are a couple of things that are a little concerning about this matchup for the Sooners if Auburn sort of steps it up and finds quality play in different spots. Where are you just on this game, and where are you on 7.5 for the Sooners at home?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It feels like it's stayed there the whole week, and obviously people are throwing money around, but that line hasn't moved much at all. I feel like I'm against it a little bit. Like everybody with Oklahoma, they want to talk about John Mateer. I want to talk about their defense. When you're talking Auburn, you want to talk about Jackson Arnold and how does he look and how has he done in the run game. But I think this game comes down to Auburn's defense. They have enough talent to do it, but when you watch them in a spot like this, they went to Baylor. Like, I still don't think they get enough credit for going to Baylor and getting that win and how convincing they were. But this is a different animal just because the strain Oklahoma puts on you, and especially because Oklahoma's defense with that home crowd, I think is going to possess problems. But Auburn has to bring it defensively. When you look at what Oklahoma brings to the table, it feels like they still have a bunch of question marks. It sounds like the goal is to have the same O-line start that they had against Michigan, but I don't know if that's going to be possible. But at Auburn, open field tackling, the speed that Oklahoma brings, Auburn's defense has to step up. And if Jackson Arnold does, in that offense doesn't, jumpstart from the start, Auburn's defense has to keep them in the game. So that's the key to me for that one.
I think the toughest matchup for sure is going to be Auburn's offense against Oklahoma's defense. I think that is absolutely the most difficult matchup in the game, and partly because of how athletic Oklahoma's defense is, and Jackson Arnold's inconsistency throwing it. Just being honest, I mean, if Cam Coleman can win jump balls, that's great. But it just doesn't feel like a recipe that you want to overly rely on. But that might be the recipe it requires. Looking at another one this weekend, it's Texas Tech and Utah. It'll be noon Eastern, 11 Central, 10 o'clock local, which I think is always interesting. Anytime you have these early starts, I almost lean under at a 10 a.m. local. These guys are waking up at 5 in the morning to go play a football game. But I also lean Utah. I don't know how you back Tech at home, but it feels like the smart money's on Tech. So how do you feel about that one?
Yeah, it feels like it's a bunch of the people, Greg, that just loved what Texas Tech did in the offseason. I've seen it called the best team money can buy versus the must, which is this, the student section at Utah. I still like what Utah brings to the table. That O-line, I put them up there with Miami. It wasn't pretty last week, kicking field goals, missing field goals on the road in Laramie. But yeah, I think I had to play a 10 a.m. game when I was playing junior midgets in Pop Warner, and that didn't have the body clock going. So the start
swinging at 8 years old.
Yeah, like 9, 10, 11, maybe around there. But yeah, the old 10 a.m. start. So, and when I think back to this situation, Shador in Colorado played Caleb Williams in USC in this circumstance. And I remember USC having a big lead and then going to and then Colorado coming back in the second half. And that made me start thinking, like, the altitude, your body clock's just not right. You mentioned it, getting up at 5 a.m. to go play. So I do like Utah in this game. I still think they haven't shown much in the passing game. Dan Pierce got to be more consistent throwing the ball, but what they bring to the table as far as quarterback run game is just really, really special and really, really cool what they do. So I expect Utah. I picked them to win the conference before the season. I very much think we could see these two teams play again at Jerry World. But in the totality of what Utah, their defense doesn't have the studs that they usually have, but I believe they have enough to overcome and help them win this game. I am really interested to see what Baron Morton brings to the table. I mean, that kid, no one ever talks about him. He puts up crazy numbers, and I look at a kid like that as an opportunity he has here in a big spot. I just don't know how it's going to go for him, and that's why I lean Utah. But interested in this one for sure.
I don't think there's any doubt. Stanford Steve joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You'll see him on College Game Day tomorrow morning. Let's go to where you are because you and I have had the conversation off air. Greg and I have had the conversation on air. I think we all three are on the same page with Miami.
Yeah.
I mean, they got some saw blades. They got assassins, and it's very different than it was a year ago. It's very different than what a lot of other teams in college football have right now. And I think the other big separator is that their quarterback is not afraid to test the middle of the field, and that's rare in a lot of college football these days. I want to know where you are on Florida coming into this game. Mentality, attitude, demeanor, realistically what they can accomplish, because there are a lot of people that think this is sort of a turnaround opportunity for them. I am having a hard time seeing it that way. What are the realistic opportunities for the Gators in your mind against this Miami team that we all like?
I mean, just go back to last week, guys. If he doesn't throw 5 picks, if he throws a couple less, they're in it. And the pick he throws, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong. The pick he throws going into the end zone is triple coverage. If he just throws a check down, you kick a field goal. It's a 1-possession game with 6-7 minutes left. You held LSU down the whole game. But it sounds like Banks isn't going to play. I thought he was awesome. And they really, the defense, I mean, I just think about in that environment, guys, Greg, you were there, but in that environment, your quarterback can't play anywhere and your defense keeps buckling it up and gets you out of jam after jam after jam after, sudden changes. Can you do that again? Are you going to be able to rely on you again? And I don't think they can because Miami's offense is a totally different animal. I actually think it's really, nice how Miami's used back in the QB run game. He's caught teams in critical spots of moving the chains with his feet. So when I look at what Miami possesses on the offensive line and the defensive line, it's a different animal than LSU, and that's what worries me about Florida. If they struggle offensively, is their defense going to be able to get them out of these jams? I think Miami brings too many issues for them with the balance they have in the run game and the pass game. So I like Miami. But, I mean, as far as Florida goes, you haven't seen any quit. And you didn't see it last year. And I think it says a lot about what Billy brings to the table in that locker room and that culture. But this is they're up against it. But, to your point, Cole, if they were to turn it around like this game and then they get Texas, that's what you're going back home off of a win. That's a monster switch if they could pull it off.
Yeah, I think they can get. I like their chances of getting Texas a lot better than I like their chances of getting Miami. That's just. I think Texas is licking their wounds a bit. I think they have some soul searching to do. I think Miami's a juggernaut. So tough sledding this week. I'd lay them with the Hurricanes for sure. I look at this Tulane Ole Miss game and I find it fascinating. Part of me is how can you lay 2 touchdowns with Ole Miss against this Tulane team because Tulane is just too good. But then again, I also kind of look at Ole Miss and I think to myself, man, I think there's another gear there that they might not. I know it sounds insane to say this. I think there's another gear there offensively that they didn't have last year. Once Trey Harris went out last year at wide receiver, they had challenges. And I think Jackson was good, but I think Jackson is a little bit more of kind of like a grinder, power runner, like Tebow type. Whereas with
Yep.
Chambliss, they're freaking that dude can rip. I mean, like really
Yeah.
rip, and is fast. So, how do you play this one? I'm just struggling with it for sure. And then the Memphis Arkansas game, like either one of those two AAC teams against power teams, but Arkansas and Ole Miss have big opponents next week in Notre Dame and LSU respectively.
Yeah, it's crazy spot. I like Tulane just because of the idea that they played them last year, and when you look at how many guys went to the draft from Ole Miss's team, I got to feel pretty good if I'm Tulane. I'm like, hey man, we went toe to toe with these guys. I know it was at home, but it is crazy to think what you're mentioning about Ole Miss's offense, because I mean this kid Trinidad, I mean I had no idea what to expect, and I'm like, wow, like knowing what Lane, how creative he could get. You can get creative a hell of a lot more with a quarterback that has his skill set than a drop back passer. And I don't see how Simmons plays with how he looked when he came in last week. Like that was he was on one leg and he still threw a touchdown pass. But I lead towards Tulane. I think Ole Miss is still. I wonder about them up front, knowing what they have in the SEC coming up and what their opponents bring to the table. They're not I mean, obviously, I mentioned the draft with what they have. They don't have it on the line of scrimmage, so that gives me confidence. And I just really think Tulane's offense has done a hell of a job with getting Retzlaff and what they do in the QB run game. That's a different animal, and we've seen Ole Miss struggle when they don't have it. Teams go up and down the field, and that's been their biggest crux and it's been their biggest problems in games in the previous years with Lane. So I like Tulane, and they can be pretty dangerous for sure.
I mean, what chances would you give them actually stealing that game outright?
Plenty. Like I think it's too much. I think it's back up to 13. I think it went down to 10. But listen. I'm totally biased. I think you guys had him on. I think Summerall's an absolute stud of a coach, and the culture he's created about this, us against the world. And I mean, you have everything you want as an underdog. Greg mentioned it, being from the American, going to an SEC school, him having ties with guys on that staff. You have everything. And I think Tulane's more than capable because, everybody think about what we were talking about with South Florida last week going into the Miami game. That conference, I mean, have you watched the Mountain West? That conference is not even close to what the American brings to the table. So this is a huge, huge spot for Tulane and the American Conference.
I think this is a dangerous game regardless, but do you like Memphis plus 7.5 at home against Arkansas at 11 a.m.? I don't think that crowd's going to be great no matter what, so the 11 a.m. kick doesn't matter for that. But do you like that spot for the Tigers?
Yeah, I mean, knowing what Arkansas, you mentioned it, or Greg did just now, like they have the biggest home game out of conference I could think of. Texas wasn't in the conference when they came a couple years ago when Arkansas gave them a dose. But Memphis has everything they want, and Arkansas shows their defense is not what they have. I still wonder what they have up front on both lines of scrimmage. So Memphis, this is your Super Bowl. Both teams are in a great situation, and if you're not going to do it now, this is you got to seize the opportunity when you have it. So yeah, Memphis for sure.
I just want to ask you before we get out of here: is Michigan on the road at Nebraska? I have a hard time with this game because I kind of look at this Michigan team and I'm just not sold. But I do think that what I saw last week from Bryce Underwood was significant progress. I know it's Central Michigan, but they kind of took the training wheels off. They said, forget about it. We're going to utilize quarterback run. Let's get after you. And it was really a welcome sight. But I think Nebraska's sporty, man. I think they're a really good outfit. I know they're not great against the run statistically, so that's huge. But I've liked so far what I've seen from their own offense and kind of their ball control passing attack. Do you have a lean in this game right now? Michigan is about a 2.5 point favorite on the road.
Yeah, I think it's an under game, Greg. I get what you're saying. And when you watch Dana in Nebraska, Dana always was so reactionary, right, in his offensive calls. But now Nebraska, it looks different because he's doing it with like two tight ends, all those tight formations. And Dylan's done a really good job of taking care of the football, making the short throws, and being accurate. So that's been nice. I just feel like Nebraska plays into Michigan's hands, with what they want to do. And then you mentioned it, Underwood throwing the ball. I went back. They threw the ball the first 6 plays of the game last week. I get it in Central Michigan, but I wonder if this is a spot where Biff Poggi is a good thing for Bryce Underwood, where like he simply said, we know how like Sharon likes to keep everything close to the vest. Like Biff's like, screw this, man. You're going on the road again. You just went to Oklahoma. It's not going to be any different. Let's let it rip. And when you go back and watch what Cincinnati did in the QB run game against Nebraska, I think they got over 200 yards. In the second half, they went up and down the field. So if Michigan wants to do that, that's what makes me worried about Nebraska in a spot where Nebraska has to have this game. I mean, all the history with one-score games, they haven't been able to do it. Michigan's destroyed them the last 2 years, last 2 times they played, but that's totally different personnel. So I think it's an under game, and I do sort of lean Michigan because I think Nebraska's style of play, and I'm still wondering about their defense, plays into Michigan's hands.
Last one for me, and it's kind of similar to that Arkansas and Memphis game. It's a civil war, man, at the end of the day. And I know Oregon State's 0-3, but it's a civil war. 34.5 points?
No chance. I will lay them all day with Oregon.
Okay.
Oregon State is – I put Oregon State in the Oklahoma State category. I really do. It's bad. When you watch them and what Texas Tech did to them, what Cal did to them, and I think that was week 1, it's going to get ugly. Greg likes those first halves. I would think about the Ducks first half.
All right. There you go.
Yeah.
Steve, great stuff, man. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it, and look forward to catching up next week.
All right, boys. Have a good one, man.
Greg, Steve, brought to us each and every week by our friends at Atlas Senior Living.
Yeah, Atlas Senior Living, ATLAS, seniorliving.com, with communities all throughout. They also have brand new communities up in the Washington, D.C. area where Steve lives, all throughout the Southeast. Every single SEC school, or at least every single SEC state for the most part, has a community from Atlas Senior Living. They'll take care of your loved ones as if they're family. You'll absolutely love them. And right now, if you go to their website, atlasseniorliving.com, you can click on the football banner, and you can join their public pick'em contest. $150 Amazon gift card to the winner each and every week. Want to give a shout out to last week's winners from week 3. Kirkland Durr, Wes Moss, Clayton Bromberg, and Adam Mummy were the Atlas public winners. All hit 13 picks correctly, and the Atlas resident winner, that's Mr. Gary Parmenter from the Goldton at St. Petersburg in St. Petersburg, Florida. So go to atlasseniorliving.com, pick some winners, and hopefully you can win that Amazon gift card.
All right, when we come back, more Max Ball. Dive into more games next right here on Jocks. All right, when we come back, we dive into the SEC games coming up this weekend. Begin to take a look at those. Full max ball on the other side. Don't forget about Gusty Goulas and the Gusty Goulas Group, however. If you're looking for an Alabama, Gusty Goulas has what it takes. Why? They've served more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. Over 850 five-star Google reviews. Most agents start marketing after you list with him, not Gusty and his staff. They invest thousands in the latest tools, social media, photographers, and more to be able to get top dollar for your home or get you the best deal on the home you want to get into. 205-542-1996. GustyGoulasGroup.com or Google Gusty Goulas Group today and start packing. MAXXX Ball Friday. Breaking down games next right here on Jocks.